Hey everyone, Christina Simmons with Say Yes to Holiness here. And I wanted to jump on this Sunday morning as we're leading into Thanksgiving week here in the United States and ask a very important question. Are you open or are you closed? This kind of ties into our gospel for this Sunday, which is, of course, about the master and giving of certain amount of talents to each of his servants. And one of the biggest things he did is that he gave each of his servants according to their ability. And what we tend to forget is that we forget that God created us and he gives us exactly what we need. Excuse me, still getting over a little bit of a cough. So I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of water. And then I'm going to ask God to get me through. So anyway, but one of the biggest things is that God knows exactly what we need and he gives it to us. But so often what we do is that we take our gifts and we close ourselves off. And there's this little story about, a man who's searching for enlightenment. And he goes and he travels far and he goes up the mountain to meet the guru. And the guru has him sit down and prepares tea and then tells him to pour the tea into his cup. And he's pouring and the guru is pouring and the cup begins to overflow. And the gentleman who's seeking enlightenment, he says, wait, stop, my cup is overflown. And the guru says, and so is your heart. And I can teach you nothing until your heart is open. So this is the same thing for us. God desires to give us more, but so often we're close to it because of a couple of things. One is we're so full of ourselves that we have no room for anything that God wants to give us. And then the other way that we're closed is because we're not able to recognize the gifts that we've already been given. And how do we do that? Well, all too often we look at our lives and we see the things we lack rather than all the things that we have. And we go around and we go, if only my relationship with my brother or my mother or my sister or with my kids was different. If only I had that job, then I would be making all the money that I need. Or if only I had done this thing, then I would be happy now. And what happens is that it prevents us from seeing all the good. We're closed. We don't see all of the good because our hands aren't open. Our heart is not open. And when we, are doing that, then we forget that even though God might not have given us that talent, he gave us this one that is ours. And he gave it to us specifically because this is what we need, not that. So another reason for us to express gratitude and for us to celebrate all of what God has given us. And during this Thanksgiving week, I think it will be very important for us to kind of use this as am I open or am I closed? Am I open to the possibilities that my interactions with family members that I might see during this holiday week might be different? Am I open to that possibility? Or am I closed? Am I thinking that, it's just going to be the same old thing? One of the things that we can do is that we can be grateful for what we do have. We can be grateful for this talent, to go back to the gospel from this weekend, and not bury it, not hide it, but rather share it. And that's another thing about gifts and talents, is that we need to accept them, number one, but then we need to develop them so then we can share them with others. And it's when we are sharing them, when we're making our gifts for others, that then we find that joy. We find that happiness. So even though we might be going into those situations of where, family dynamics, and it's so easy to just slip back into the way things always were, right? Because it's hard to be different. It's hard to be open, particularly if there's woundedness, particularly if we've been harmed. And with those that we love the most, that usually happens. So what my encouragement for you this week is to be open and to trust that exactly what this is, this talent, this family, this gift, this job, this situation, whatever it is that you're facing, is exactly what God desires for you. If it's difficult and it's painful, and I'm not saying be in an abusive situation, I'm not saying this at all, but rather trust that God is giving you exactly what you need so that you can reflect His love and His goodness and His mercy to those around you in the unique way that He's created you to do it. That can be hard, but I kind of chose this sweatshirt to wear this morning, Get Used to Different, as a reminder to me. Get used to being different. Get used to being open, not closed, not shut down, but trusting that the gifts, the good that is right here in front of me, this is what God has entrusted. This is what God desires for me. Not that. Not some saccharine version of what a holiday might look like, but rather this chaotic, disruptive, imperfect family that He has given. And one of the things I keep going back to family dynamics and stuff, and partially that's because so many of us are going to be encountering family this week. But another piece of it is if you don't have family, if you're not going to be able to get together with them, or for whatever reason you're not, in contact with family, go and seek out those who God has placed in your life, those good friends, those people that He desires for you to have in your life. He's given you this, not that. So don't do the if only thing this week. If only things were different. If only someone had invited me Thanksgiving. Nothing says you can't invite people over. And even if you don't cook a Thanksgiving meal, you still can share good conversation, and you can have food, just whatever it is that you have. And you can pray together. You can give thanks. You can express that gratitude for what has been given. Because that's what the talents parable is all about. It's about taking the talents that have been given and to respond with love, to respond with diligence. That's actually something that I learned just recently, is that diligence, the root word I'd forgotten, is to love. Diligere is to love, is to respond with love. So when we're being diligent, then we're responding with love. So to diligently make use of all of what God has given to us, in anticipation of being able to say, look, Dad, at the end, look, Dad, this is what I did with what you gave me. And He will respond as the Master did. Well done. Come and share your Master's joy. And that's what the holidays should be about. Thanksgiving is a beautiful time for us to focus upon gratitude, of really expressing gratitude to those in our lives for being a part of our life, and not doing the if only, but rather to have open hearts and hands and be ready to receive all of what God desires to give us, to not be that full cup who can't receive anything else, but rather to be open to all of what God does give us and to be grateful for it and to respond with diligence as we take those gifts, we take those talents, and we develop them and share them as gift for others. Because when we are our best selves, then we truly are being the gift that God created us to be. And that is the greatest gift that we have for anyone, including our families. I hope this serves you, especially this week. Know of my prayers for each and every one of you, that you have a beautiful time, whatever your plans might be. Happy Thanksgiving. God bless.